Today, I'm joined by one of my poker athlete students, Benjamin. I wanted to bring him on today as I think his story is very inspiring. He had to take a lot of risks to start chasing the poker dream. He quit university. He was working 3 jobs to fund his bankroll. He ran into so many obstacles, yet he always found a way to get past them. Recently, he started working with me in my poker athlete program to build a stronger mindset. He was stagnating at 200 NL and he knew that something needed to change. His progress since then has been amazing, and it shows how far you can go in a short space of time if you really apply yourself. Now, if you'd like the opportunity to be one of my next poker athletes, you can click on the link in the description to apply for one of the spots. But for now, let's dive into the conversation with Benjamin. Hey, Benjamin, thanks for joining me today.
Hey Adam, thank you for having me.
All right, so we're going to unpack your poker journey to where you are today. And your journey started quite interesting. I think it started with a heads-up game on the streets with a friend. So talk us through the beginning of your poker career.
Yeah, so I think the beginning started when I was 16, 17. We used to play at home games with friends, and that's when it all started. And then shortly after we sort of started playing, it was the last day of school at 16, 17. And I was with a friend of mine, and we decided to stay up all night and go to school without sleeping. Basically, we thought it would be fun. I don't know why. And so we couldn't really make noise at each other's houses. So we went outside on the street with a deck of cards and some chips, and we were friends with this security guard from the corner, and we hung out with him and played heads up all night. So yeah, that's a story that comes to mind, and I think since then I've been pretty hooked with the game. That's like the early days where I was already pretty interested. Obviously recreational, big fish, but a love for the game started there. And so yeah, then I graduated, and since I was 18, I meant to start a poker career, but I think at the time I wasn't ready. I was looking more for a traditional path and didn't even face the desire of going pro. So yeah, I started with going into business administration, and while at the time also playing a little bit of online, like depositing $50, $100, and losing it immediately, but still like being interested in the game. And so yeah, after business administration, like a year and a half in, I decided to switch to music production, become like a DJ. That didn't last very long. Also, I started like 6 months, and then I switched to physics. So as you can see, I was going back and forth between different majors. So I couldn't really figure out what I wanted. And in reality, if I took a trip to the mountains and figured it out for myself, I would see the answer was clear. I would have loved to get into poker, but I didn't want to take the leap quite yet. But yeah, one day in 2019, I remember we were doing this lab project for physics. I had 2 lab partners, and I went back home and I then texted the guys, the lab partner guys, hey guys, I'm sorry, I won't be continuing with the physics path anymore. I'm gonna play poker professionally. Take care and see you guys later. Good luck. And they were like, WTF? What is this? So yeah, and then I decided to go pro. And at the time, I had a job, and I was studying at the time. And so then I had 2 part-time jobs. So 1 4-hour job in the morning, 1 4-hour job at the afternoon. And so I was trying to save up every dollar to fund my bankroll. And so then I decided it wouldn't be enough with those 2 jobs. So I decided to make my own business, so to speak, which was basically me making pizzas at home. And yeah, basically it would be a really rough routine I would wake up at 5:30 in the morning, make pizzas, then go to work at 8:30, then in the afternoon go to the other job, and then at 8 p.m. buy the ingredients for the next pizza for the next day. And so it was a really rough time, just saving up every dollar for the poker balance. Then I was a bit reckless. I went out a bit too much and spent a little bit of money. But yeah, in the end, I had like $700 or something to start the poker journey. And back then, looking back, I realized I had a lot of ego going in, and it was unfounded ego, to be honest, because I didn't really have much of the skill set in poker. All I knew about poker was Doug Polk videos, split suit videos. I don't know if you know the split suit YouTuber, Alex Orelli. So I used to watch those guys and thought to myself, okay, I know poker, I can beat the games. So I jumped right into 25 and up with $700, no experience, just the YouTube videos and a big ego. And then a week goes by, and all I have left is $44 in the account, I remember. So I remember vividly this moment of staring at the screen, $44, so not even 2 buy-ins, 25 NL, and just being like sad and saying, okay, what now? And I remember thinking, okay, I can either see if I can run it up again, fire up 2 25 tables, and see if I can make my bankroll again, or I can face reality and get some broker coaching. And yeah, and then basically that's what I did. I closed the computer and took a couple of days off. And then I remember I signed up for Upstream Poker Lab for 2 months. Back then it was $50 a month, so I had $100. I spent it there. Then this was around when quarantine hit, so I didn't have anything else to do, really just study and play. Studying basically was going over the modules in Upstream Poker, and playing was Zoom in Party Poker, basically 1 cent, 2 cent Zoom. And so I started at 1 cent, 2 cent Zoom, and then yeah, basically skyrocketed in like 4 months, 5 months. I was at 100 NL, basically, from 1 cent, 2 cent to 0.5, $1. And yeah, and since then I had good upswing months, and then I went to move by myself, live by myself, and since then I'm here surviving through the game, basically.
Wow, what a rough start you had. I didn't realize it started so, let's go abruptly. And what I like about your story is, one, you had no real inkling that you could make it work. You didn't really have a sample size. You didn't have any profitable poker graph to look at. Yet you decided you were going to invest the money you were making for your job to give poker a go. Then you lost all that money. And most people be like, all right, I tried, didn't work out. But you were like, didn't work out. Maybe I just need more coaching. Maybe that's the thing. So you didn't give up. So I'm curious to know, like, for you, why do you feel like the urge to play poker was so strong at this point? And why do you think like losing most of your bankroll / all of your bankroll wasn't enough to deter you early on?
I think my skill wasn't really advanced at the time, but my love for the game was very much alive. Like it was a huge fire in me, and um, yeah, basically I kind of at the time like forgot about the loss and said, okay, I still have $44. I know it just came naturally to move forward. I had already quit at the end, and yeah, I was just so obsessed with the game and trying to make it work that I always try to succeed. And there's always like this mental traps, right? Like your own ego or the lack of emotional control of playing and everything that gets in your way of making it happen. But I was able, luckily, to talk some sense into me and say, okay, I need some coaching. Yeah, I would say love for the game basically was what propelled me forward.
So then you got off to a good start. I said, in a year or so, you got to 100 NL, which is very fast rising. Talk us through like what you learned during that period. Obviously, you're going through the upswing course to level up your strategy, but you mentioned you got this bit of an ego that's kind of maybe a little bit toxic at the time. Talk us through how you were able to overcome some of the initial challenges to get to 100 NL.
Yeah, so basically the ego got destroyed after I was left with 1 cent, 2 cent, and then I got a lot more humbled after watching the modules, the option course. So I understood how much I didn't know, and so that calmed me down. And yeah, basically it started with 1 cent, 2 cents, and it was almost like too fast. Like I remember going over 2 NL, then 5 NL, then 10 NL in like a month and a half. Then I started playing 25 NL. It lasted 2 weeks because I had a huge upswing. And then I started at 50 NL. 50 NL took me like a month and a half as well. And then all of a sudden I was at 100 NL. I don't think there were any obstacles in the micro stakes era. But also because like I was learning a lot about equilibrium sort of strategies where you have this sort of mindset where it doesn't matter what your opponent does, you know. So yeah, the material I was learning was very you know GT oriented, and I think that one of the good things about that is that you have less worrying about what the other opponent's gonna do, so you kind of tilt less, or at least what happened to me. Like if I was running bad, I would say, oh, it's just variance because I have a good approach. In reality, obviously not the case, but in my mind, I kind of hypnotize myself, like saying, okay, I'm just gonna take care of my own game, and it will all work out in the end. And yeah, no major obstacles till 100 NL, and then at 100 NL, I kind of stood there for a while.
Yeah.
After that.
Yeah, okay, cool. So then talk us through the next transition. So I think by the time you reached out to me, which was about 6 weeks ago, about 8 weeks ago, you were playing 200 Zoom and 500 NL. So maybe talk us through that kind of transition through those levels. Go up to like 500 Zoom. Talk us through like the main jumps you had to make, both from a mindset perspective, but also leveling up yourself and your technical game.
Yeah, so after playing 100 NL, I went to live by myself, and I needed to win in order to pay rent and pay the bills. So moving up as quickly wasn't really a choice because I had to withdraw routinely, right, to pay for things. So I stood at 100 NL for a while, and I became too worried about money and being able to afford stuff than studying. And so I think there was like a bit of a plateau there at 100 NL. Then I realized this and I started studying a lot more. Um, and and yeah, I was playing 100 Zoom at party poker. Then when I decided to move up to 200 Zoom at stars, I switched to stars because there wasn't much action at party. Um, I started playing at 200 Zoom, and then the first 50,000 hands went horribly wrong because now looking back, um, I had this mindset of when moving up that I had to make a name for myself, or that people would be going after me because I'm new, or they thought I wouldn't be too aggressive, or they would think I would be too needy, too passive because I play lower stakes. So I wanted to kind of show the other regs that I was aggressive, and so this sort of silly mindset caused me to like punt a lot. Um, Basically, if you are, it's a lot worse to be too aggressive than to be too passive, right? Because it's easier to not have a hand in poker, and if when you don't have a hand you feel entitled to win the hand, you're gonna have all this minus EV hands all over the place, and there's no way to win. So yeah, basically it was being too aggressive, trying to win every pot. And so this led to a downswing at 200 Zoom, and then I decided after it was a 35 buying downswing, so $7,000 loss. And then so I said to myself, okay, similar to the beginning, okay, I need to get better. And I took 5 months, 4 months off from playing to just study. And looking back and now going this, I realized after going through the poker athlete course, it was a bit of perfectionism, a bit of I love to study mask. But yeah, then after those 4 months, it helped me like, okay, start playing better. And after that, I was finally able to see the lights at the end and started making decent money per month. And yeah, so basically, I started playing 200 Zoom more routinely now, and then 500 Node on Bulldog are kind of similar skill levels. Um, and yeah, basically that's where I'm now. And yeah, now I think at the time I contacted you, I felt like I hit a new plateau, which is this 200 Zoom, 500 Zoom state, 500 on state, and I wanted to move forward. And so yeah, that's where I am kind of now.
Yeah, I think from your story we can see like how it kind of plays out for most players as well, where you'll rise up a few levels, then you'll hit a plateau. Either it's a mental mindset issue or it's something in a technical game that you don't understand. Then you maybe drop back a little bit, recalibrate, and then you need to learn the next level and like level up your character to get to that next stage. And what I like about your journey is you've been from day one, before you even made a penny through poker, very willing to invest in yourself, very willing to invest in a coach and a poker strategy course and a mindset course. Because I think for you, you realize if I get stuck, I need more information. I need more knowledge. I need to work on myself. So yeah, the time when you reached out to me, you said we stuck out 200 Zoom, 500 Bulldog. Tell me through like what was the main obstacle you were stuck with from a mindset perspective. Where do you feel like you'd run into a ceiling, and why do you feel like you were struggling to push past at that stage?
From a mindset perspective, I think I wasn't really very knowledgeable in terms of pre-game routines and anything going, everything about the mental aspect of the game. So I think as edges get smaller, you need more proper execution, and I think I lacked just the ability to execute properly. I would always notice that there was a big gap between what I knew and what ended up applying. So it's this this gap I thought was too big to and and so yeah, I should have narrowed that gap basically by meditating and doing all the mental game work. But I didn't, and I think that cost me a lot. Um, yeah, I would say that lack of mental game preparation.
Yeah, awesome. See, I think for you, again, you've been self-aware enough to kind of spot that there was an obstacle to overcome, and also you saw the value that mindset could provide at this stage. I think a lot of players, like the low-hanging fruit seems like strategy. It's like, yeah, I need to get better, I need to get better. Then it comes a point where you're like, all right, just studying and grinding isn't enough. Like I need to actually work on my mindset and be able to, like I said, close that gap between the knowledge I know out of game and what I can execute in game. Also, like the limitations you set for yourself. Often, as you're progressing, you soon start to run into problems of this is the level I can get to, or you get overconfident or underconfident, and all these things that come from like it doesn't seem related to the strategy side of the game, but at the same time, it's like, all right, this is the next thing in the way that's stopped me from progressing. So for you, I think when you first came into the program, you had a bit of self-blame going on. You used to be very hard on yourself and mistakes. I think you mentioned you were quite low in resilience. You used to quit things when things didn't go your way. As you talked about your early experience as well, you bounced around things a lot, which often means like when things get tough, you want to like kind of look for something else rather than like kind of face it head on, which can recur in different avenues. So yeah, talk to us like the skills that you started to learn for the program that were helping you to overcome these early problems you had.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, resilience for me was a big one. And I decided to, like, after I watched the Resilience Mojo, I realized that I was being too much of a coward, I would say, and I should be like face reality more and just push through. That there's just no way out. Like, I would get tilted, and close the computer and walk away. And basically, a big thing I got from the course about this was I'm not really, I don't really have to accept what I feel. I can actually, it's all a mental process, so I actually have more control than I think. At the end of the day, I'm staring at a screen and it's all just numbers on a screen. So it's not like there is a lion in front of me. I actually do have mental control to see how I react. So I yeah, I started training my resilience. And as I posted on the Discord, I'm doing daily planks, and it's a small thing, but so I started with the doing 2-minute planks and then adding 5 seconds every day, and now I'm at 5 minutes, and it's like you're training this voice in your head that tells you, okay, 30 more seconds, 30 more seconds, and so right before um, the right before um, the time of my personal record, I'm like, I cannot do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. And then I find the strength to push through an extra minute. And yeah, I found that very valuable. And I realize now at the tables, I record all my sessions. And in terms of resilience, I haven't really closed the computer ever since then. Like obviously, I go like maybe I blow out air, like okay, but now I can continue like to grind. So I started training resilience a lot. Um, then my focus, I started training focus. I meditate every day now, and I see a big uh, increase in focus for sure. And also I rewatched a bit of the presence module, and now after revisiting it, I was able to see how valuable that module was, the presence one. Um, the part about entering the performance mindset, I didn't really know about that. I mentioned to you I was more of a training mindset sort of guy, and I thought that is what you need in for the poker tables. Basically, be ready to uh, it like translate what happens in the practice arena to in real life, and then in real life it's nothing like the practice mode. So if you are in practice mode, you will be let down if you enter the arena and it's nothing that what you practice. You have to be willing to let go and see how things go and be able to be reacting. I got that from the course, and now I'm a completely different player, to be honest. Just the intent, having the intention of changing already is a big thing. And yeah, I go over the notes regularly of the course, and I take a look at my sessions, and they look nothing like before it was kind of a mess.
Hey guys, just a quick announcement that I'm reopening my signature Poker Athlete program. If you would like the opportunity to work with me for the rest of the year and join Benjamin and the fellow poker athletes, now is the time. Click on the link in the description, fill in the short application form, and I'll be reaching out to you with the next steps. Now let's get back to the conversation with Benjamin. Amazing. That's so good to hear. And yeah, just as you were talking there, I was trying to piece together for the listener, like the skills you were learning and how they were affecting you. So the Poker Athlete program itself, we focused on 8 skills over the course of 8 weeks. And each week is a bit of a crash course in a different skill. And based on where you're at, the problems you're having, certain skills will be the ones that you need to level up. So you mentioned, first of all, resilience. And yeah, resilience is one of those skills where we need to realize that life is hard sometimes and we need to be prepared for it. And the natural instinct of us as humans is to do the easy things and set up our comfort zone, to go into this kind of path of least resistance. But if we don't take on challenges very quickly, when life gets hard, you're going to poker downswing, things aren't going the way you want them to, you're not prepared for it. You're not ready. So resilience is all about preparing your mind and body for things to get hard. And often you do physical challenges, we talk about mental challenges, but it's about stepping into discomfort and realizing, I'm okay. I can handle this. So whenever I think of a resilient mindset, installing a chip in someone's head, it's the mindset of, I can handle this. Like, whatever happens, I can handle this. And once you start to realize that, it's like, okay, life's coming at me. I can handle this. And I think as a poker player, you realize a lot of times it's asking you to be more resilient. It's going, all right, downswing. Here we go. Tough losing session. Do you want to quit and close your computer? Or do you want to keep going? So yeah, I really like that you've been doing like physical challenges like the plank to train the mind to go that little bit further. Cold showers, anything where you're pushing yourself to take on adversity consciously with the intent of overcoming this kind of inner voice that's telling you to stop and slow things down. Then you mentioned skill of focus and the ability to hold your attention. Let's double down on that one, look a bit deeper on that one. So for you, how was your focus like before you came into the program, and what were some of the specific things you were able to implement around your focus that you found helpful for you?
So focus was, I think, the only mental game skill that before the program, I tried to enhance and get better at. And so I was actually meditating before through guided meditations. And I was also recording my sessions and talking through hands as I play. I mentioned to you, I like to speak and record myself as if I was sort of streaming. And this, I think, it increases your focus because you cannot really speak about a hand if you're not paying attention to it. So it forces you to pay attention about the hand if you're speaking about it. So I was doing that. I was meditating through guided meditations and recording myself and speaking through hands. And yeah, I think it for a while, like, it worked, but then I stopped doing it. And yeah, I would say it was the main thing that tilted me before the course. Like I mentioned to you, and in the emotional regulation module, where we have to say what event triggers you and how intense it is. I remember writing down whenever I'm unfocused and I make a mistake, not because I don't know any better, but because I was tired. That was the main thing that tilted me and caused me to like throw the mouse away and just walk away. And yeah, being unfocused was super tilting to me. And yeah, it happened pretty frequently. And so then after going through the focus module, you speak about meditation in silence, meditating in silence, and looking at a fixed point, and like all this different science stuff that I didn't know, like increasing alertness, epinephrine, increasing attention. I didn't know anything about that, and so I wrote it down, and now to increase my focus, I meditate in silence, and I ramp up the body. I do some push-ups before the grind. I generally take the cold shower before the grind as well to increase adrenaline, and now I've seen a lot better results. But it's always, in performance, it's always like a mix of things. Like it's when if I'm training resilience, presence, and focus, like all that cocktail is what at the end brings out the good results that I'm seeing now.
Yeah, exactly that, right? It's like 1,000 little things done well. And sometimes it's hard to pinpoint the one thing. And that's what I try to instill for the Poker Athlete program. I try to give you like a comprehensive toolkit of things you can do to improve performance and different skills that you can work on, and then how to implement them. And then you've got this kind of, like I said, cocktail of skills that you'll be working on and implement them in your own little way that creates your own kind of unique mix. So yeah, I think it's really powerful once you realize everything you want to get better at can be broken down to a skill that you can train from your current level to a higher level. First of all, you need to understand the skill at the high level, how it works, what drives it, what the mechanisms are behind the skill. Then you need to know what things you can do in real time, practices you can use, tools you can use to get the desired outcome you want. Then you need to put it to work, and for a long period of time, practice using that skill and get better at it. It's like going to the gym and doing bicep curls. You need to do it for a long time before you put on the muscle. So yeah, I think for you, we can see that you've understood the skills that what you need to do, but also you've been practicing stuff, trying new techniques, trying new approaches to actually get better at that skill. I'm curious to know for you how you found presence relating with focus, because this is the one where I treat focus as like quite a effortful skill. It's almost like training, very keeping the mind where you want it to be, watching distractions, bringing your mind back, making sure you have high alertness, high attention. And then presence is like this kind of high level skill that goes in sync with focus, but it's more about using your intuition, being in the flow, allowing yourself to go on this kind of performance mindset, I call it, which allows you to make good decisions without the extra effort. So yeah, I'm curious to know for you, how do you find those two modules, because you've been working on focus and presence together, and how do they overlap for you?
Yeah, so at first you might think it's like they're contradictory. Like one is effortful and the other one is letting it happen. And so basically focus is useful for the training mindset as well as the performance mindset. But I think when it comes to presence, once you're in a focused state of mind, achieving presence is like a boost, and it's like when those two combined, I think are super powerful. And yeah, it's with focus alone, you can go over the session, but if a mistake happens, for example, you can be too focused on that mistake, and then the presence then comes in to basically tell you, okay, just mark the hand, see it later. You did the best you could at the moment. Continue going for the next hand. So I think it centers presence, kind of centers focus in the next thing, in the thing that you have in front of you, instead of letting focus, go whatever it wants. So
I
I would
love
say
that.
that's
I love
approach.
that. That's amazing. No, that's a really good interpretation of those two ideas because that's exactly how I think of it as well. I think of focus as almost like gets you into presence as well. Once focus is high, you kind of can go into more present flow-like state easier. But at the same time, if you're too focused on the details, you can go into this trainer mindset, which is a little bit too zoomed in, a little bit too analytical, and then presence reminds you to see the bigger picture, trust yourself, and yes, see what you're doing. So yeah, really like that reflection that you're a good student to piece those together because that was definitely your own words rather than what I've said. So yeah, you mentioned when you give me some feedback on the program, you said my inner talk during sessions did a full 180. I'm now constantly reflecting on my feelings, energy, and state of mind, making sure my rational mind is the one making the decisions. Talk a bit about that, this kind of inner self-talk. So I feel like this is a topic that it's easy to brush over and go, oh, don't be so hard on yourself, don't criticize yourself, be more positive. But in practical terms, we've got to find a way to change that narrative in our mind, which takes a bit of work. So for you, this full 180 flip of your inner talk us through like how you were able to do that.
Yeah. So before I was in a situation where I was too harsh on myself, and uh, going over the course, I kind of learned to be in a bit in spectator mode and kind of see from a distance what is going on, what is affecting me, and this awareness, I think, helped me a lot. I would say just being in being able to switch to spectator mode, and yeah, and it kind of everything was able to stick together and yeah, made me play a lot better, I would say.
Mm. I like that spectator mode. It's almost like a button, watching the thoughts. I think that's the challenge
Yeah,
because we often think our thoughts are almost like our reality is based on thoughts a lot of the time. We get so sucked into them. We listen to our thoughts, we get absorbed in them. So if my thoughts are saying, I'm an idiot, why did I do that? It's very easy to get sucked
yeah,
into the feelings that go with that. When in reality, you say, oh, you can zoom a layer behind in observer mode, spectator mode, and God, that's just my thoughts saying that. I can detach myself from that. I can watch that. And very often just that process of self-observation, self-awareness actually fixes a lot of the problems. It's very interesting. A lot of people think
yeah,
that they need to make all the shifts. Like if you can just watch a thought rather than getting lost in a thought, a lot of the work is done. You can because you'll see which thoughts are good for you. You can see which thoughts you want to engage with, and which ones you're like, that's a thought that's not helping me. So for you, the full 180 switch, what were some of the new thought patterns you had to make? Because you mentioned you're very hard on yourself, especially making mistakes was hard for you. I'm guessing like a lot of self-blame when things weren't going well. Talk us through like some of the new thoughts that you've started to implant and how that's had an impact on your performance.
yeah. So the thing that mainly tilted me and made me be angry at myself and like blame myself were mistakes due to being unfocused or a wrong assessment of a situation. That in general, I get more tilted when, for example, I make a wrong assessment and I lose a stack. That would be the one thing that tilted me a lot. Um, and yeah, basically, um, I was like too perfectionist, and this perfectionism caused me to be too harsh. And now it's amazing because I record myself and I actually remember like a hand I played where I called down with the thought process that was extremely incorrect. And before I would definitely just close the computer and wait and calm down. And at the time, in the video, I said, "Oops, I made a mistake here." I typed down the mistake, and then I continued grinding. So I saw like it's a huge change in me in that aspect. And yeah, it's a completely different performance.
Love it. Would you say you now have like the tools to handle more challenging situations? I say that because I feel like life doesn't really change, right? Like the things coming at you are just consistently upswings, downswings, good times, bad times. But I feel like the best thing about mindset when you develop it at a high level is to realize I can handle what happens. Like I've got a toolkit that can reframe things, change things around, look at things differently. I don't need to get unraveled when I make a mistake or lose 10 billions. I have a toolkit that allows me to deal with that in an effective way. Do you feel like that's true for you?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like I accept more. Actually started reading every day. The give yourself permission to make mistakes and accept making mistakes. Those simple things, those simple statements, really helped me to to face things and be able to move forward. Actually, I got a couple of days. I got sick. I got this big stomachache, and I remember just listening to my resilient voice and saying, "I can handle it. I can handle it." And I was on the street, so I had to keep walking. Um, I can handle it. I can handle it. And so I started walking, and yeah, that this it's small things, but that you change, that you see, that are indicators that you have something changed, basically. So yeah, definitely.
I think as well, once you go down this path, you can't you can't reverse it and walk back because it's almost like a light's being shone on your inner workings, how your mind works, how thoughts work, how your emotions work, how your actions are correlated with that, and you start to see it. It's almost like looking under the hood of a car and seeing how the car works. Like, that's how it works, and then all of a sudden you just become very aware and you watch things. So things that would have been on autopilot, like a pattern of behavior or a habit where you're like just compulsively acting a certain way. Now you almost like stop by default and go, that's interesting. That's an interesting way to see that. How can I change that? What can I do different here? And all of a sudden it puts you back in control. So yeah, I really like that your story is like piecing together a powerful framework. Because I feel like this is where we can get so specific on a problem, go, I struggle with this problem, and try to solve every micro problem as it comes up. Or we can get like toolkits for the mind where we can realize, oh, wait a second, almost everything is just the inner game that I can learn to see better from a different angle, perspective. I can learn to deal with better resilience. I can learn to change where I put my attention, focus. And these are all like skills that we can just learn over and over. Then self-awareness to remove any obstacles, ceilings that we set for ourselves. And once you realize those are the games of the mind, you're like, okay, cool, skills, need to work on these. If these are new concepts, I got some training to do. It's like I said, going to the gym is a great analogy because no one goes to the gym just puts muscle on the first session or comes out really strong. It's like it takes a lot of sessions, but the intentionality, you can make progress really quickly. So yeah, I'm curious to know for you in terms of your experience, how's it changed since going for the program? What would you say for your daily experience, your daily routines? Tell us for like how it's changed since you've been for the program.
Yeah, I wanted to say something about what you said. Like there's no going back, and it is true. But at the same time, I think with mental game things is like you said, going to the gym, and it's a muscle. And while it is true, like your perspective will never be the same as it used to be, you do have to kind of maintain that muscle. So that's why also I think it's important to, instead of like, for example, a strategy course where you watch it, you, let's say it's a three pots out of position, how to play, whatever. You kind of take notes on the course, maybe watch it once or twice, and then it becomes part of your toolkit to use, and it's like somewhere in your memory, and you remember it and you can use it. But I think with mental game, it deals with different parts of the brain, and so like you need to keep them sharp. You need to to train that muscle constantly in order to keep it, I would say. So that's why I think revisiting the course weekly also it's a really good thing. And yeah, about my routines, how they changed. Basically, when I talked to you, I wasn't at my best time, both in my poker career and my personal life. And I was yeah waking up late. not late, but like 11 a.m. or something, 10 a.m. And I was sort of just in a lazy state of mind, and basically just going through the days, and doing whatever I felt like. If I wanted to go out on a Thursday, why not? Uh, just going through the days. Now I have a lot more structured routine, and I post on the Discord the weekly things that I do, and this act of being posting my progress in every thing that I do kind of makes me be able to uh, stick with it. And now basically I wake up, I meditate, I do some planks, I study poker. Like I completely structure my days, and yeah, I'm a completely different player and person right now. And I feel also better, like more energized. I know a lot more things about the brain and science. And yeah, it completely changed my perspective in a lot of things. And I think it's something that will stick with me for like the next 2 years at least. Like I'm gonna continue to grow in this with all this moving forward. Um, like looking back at uh, when I discovered the course, like I remember seeing your email about the poker athlete. I received it. I was subscribed to something from you, and I received the email. And I remember I read it and said, going in, like the no-brainer, just going in. And I'm super, super glad I did. Basically, I mentioned to you, I look back at what I was doing 3 months ago and say, what the hell was that? Like, what was I doing? That's a mess. And yeah, now it's at least I have a clear path forward, and that's so much better. And it's an amazing feeling.
Love it. Thank you for sharing that. And yeah, I like what you said as well, like that these are skills that need to be developed over time and you need to keep them going. So what I love about when I go for the program at the end of the 8 weeks, we then go into like the graduate scheme where basically players continue to train the skills, jump on live sessions with me for the rest of the year. And what I really like in those calls is when players go, can't wait to go back through the skills again. Can't wait for like round 2. Because it's not this like kind of sprint to a finish line and, hey, I'm done. I'm really good at these skills. It's like the mindset of an athlete. One of the reasons I called the program the Poker Athlete is because athletes are always training. They always level up skills. They don't go, I'm an Olympic champion, I'm just going to clock off and have a few days, have a month off and just, my skills are all good. They keep their skills fine tuned. You realize what skills are beneficial for you at this stage of your life, your career, and you keep on top of them. So you mentioned like for you, even the one of like the priming statements of, I give myself permission to make mistakes. I will accept mistakes as they happen. It wasn't like you did that once. Go, okay, I've done the exercise, off we go. It's like daily drills, daily routines of these things matter to me. I need to instill it into my operating system until it becomes part of who I am. So yeah, I really like that. It's because, yeah, I think a lot of people are looking for quick fixes, silver bullets, things that will solve a problem overnight. I wish I had that power as a coach or could solve people's problems in a kind of flash of a wand magic spell, but it takes work. But at the end of the day, it's one of those things where when you know what to do and you know the result it's going to lead to, the work isn't that hard. It's like, okay, this is what I need to do to get this result. All right, awesome. As you mentioned, that clear path. That's one of the things I try to strive for with the program, create a clear path for what you need to work on and where it's going to get you going forward. And like the way I do the program is there's assessments. So after each skill, you can reassess your skill to see how much you've improved. Then after the program's over, there's ongoing like assessments and skill training that you can do to constantly work on these skills. So it's like an ongoing thing where you never need to know guess where I'm at. You always go, right, these are the skills that currently I'm struggling with, and these are the ones I need to improve going forward. So you mentioned you read my email and you were instantly going, okay, this is a no-brainer. I wonder what your message would be to people who read the same email, which I'm probably going to be sending in the next few days or weeks when I reopen, who may be like, it kind of seems cool, but maybe it won't work for me. Maybe like, I can understand Benjamin's story. He has a few focus issues. Maybe he had a little bit of self-blame going on. He was struggling a bit, but I'm not sure if it would work for me. What would you say to someone who might be on the fence about maybe reaching out to apply?
Yeah, so now I see that I was struggling with self-blame, but at the time, um, I thought my poker performance was like fine, and I think you never know what you don't know until somebody tells you. And yeah, like if you are, I would say to somebody that's on the fence about joining, it is literally a no-brainer. Like it would be probably one of the best investments you make for your career, and also like for yourself as a person. Like these are all skills that are about your daily life, so not only poker. And yeah, to be honest, now that I see what the course is about, and I remember watching the presence modules, looking at the perfectionism masks and seeing the I love to learn mask and feeling like super identified with that. I said, okay, yeah, the course paid itself with with this video. And so yeah, I would say it's worth more than you can imagine, I
Amazing.
would
Yeah,
say.
thank you so much. And yeah, I'm glad I brought you on today because I really wanted to share your story, because you're someone who I think your struggles you have been very relatable. I think a lot of players can relate to these kind of trying to break for that next level, hitting an obstacle, running into some problems with the ego, running into problems with maybe some emotions as well, and then having to overcome them and then trying to find the path. And I really feel like for you, because you've been able to apply yourself and learn the knowledge you need, you've been able to move forward fairly quickly. I say fairly quickly. You did that first like kind of year of really fast progress, and then even since
Super
we've worked
fast.
together, you've been progressing well because you apply yourself. So I think anyone who's on the fence who is similar to you, who wants to put in the work, because that's the thing. Like you've got to when you sign up for a program, any coaching program, as mine or somebody else's, it's not like there you go, all your problems are fixed. It's like, okay, now a spotlight has been shone on all my problems and solutions are being granted. Now the work begins. And if you're willing to put the work in and kind of face yourself, face your insecurities, also be around other people like Benjamin, like the poker athletes who are doing this work, because this is not easy work. Also, we can gloss over and go, hey, we got all the solutions. Like, we got to go and look at all our insecurities and work on our fears and work on the things that make us feel insecure about ourselves and underperforming. We've got to highlight all of those before we can fix them. So yeah, I think it's hopefully, as you've highlighted, it'll be a fit for other players who want to also go on that exploration. And yeah, I really want to thank you, Benjamin, for sharing your journey, sharing your story. I know this is just the beginning for you. We've been working together about 9 or 10 weeks now, and you're continually improving, leveling up. You share your daily kind of schedule, weekly schedule in the Poker Athlete Discord. You're always tracking stuff. I like it as well because everyone who goes through the program has their own little interpretation of stuff and creates their own little tracking things, their own little training programs that they do in amongst the program, which I really love to see. So yeah, keep doing that. Keep upgrading your kind of approaches. And any final words for anyone listening that you could part with?
Basically just doubling down on what I just said. If you get anything out of this, is you don't know how lazy and bad you're doing until you go over something like this, a program like this. So yeah, basically trust me when I say that joining is a great idea.
Perfect last
I
words.
would say.
Thank you so much, Benjamin. Look forward to seeing you on the group call soon, and speak soon.
Thank you, Adam, for having me. Pleasure.
Now, before you go, I have a special announcement that I'm reopening my signature Poker Athlete program. I will be taking on 10 new students over the coming week and teaching you everything you need to know to take your poker performance to the next level. If you would like the opportunity to become one of my next poker athletes, like Benjamin did, all you need to do is click on the link in the description, fill out the short application form, and I'll be reaching out to you with the next steps.